Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Mitsubishi Electric podcast. It is a little bit different than usual, so you can see a different set, but I think that also the topic is a little bit special. Today I have with me Jacek Smoluch.
Hi guys, hi everyone.
Who is responsible for marketing in the organization in the Central Eastern Europe. But today we'll be talking about actually global perspective, and we'll be discussing the trends that are shaping the industry today. So it will be a little bit more general discussion, but hopefully you will find something for yourself, because what we'll be trying to do today is to make a connection between all the global reality of today with the industry as it is. So we want to see how all the noise, all the communication in the media is actually shaping the reality of factories today. We hope you will enjoy this conversation. Jacek, welcome in the beautiful city of Warsaw.
Yeah, that's true. That is really, really beautiful here. Yeah, so thank you for inviting me.
So let's start. And I think that our first point of discussion should be summary of the last year, let's say. So we have this nice opportunity that we are still in the early parts of 2025. And clearly the last year was quite crazy. I mean, we can list a couple of important events. One of them obviously being the year of election in United States, because the election in United States actually influences pretty much the whole world. There are obvious discussions about how the United States will be shaping its economy and how it will be cooperating with partners. So that was, from the geopolitical point of view, that was a very important event. How about from, like looking from the technological perspective? And do you think that the US election influences what's going on in the technology spectrum?
Well, yeah, for sure, because the US is like in the forefront of the whole technology, and the last year was the year of boom of the artificial intelligence. We are seeing that, and right now we've got a Mr. Musk, Mr. Trump, and they are pushing the front of the artificial intelligence. Yeah, so since last year, we see the artificial intelligence in every kind of daily life of our beings. In job, nobody's writing the emails normal way right now. Yeah, so for sure 90% of guys are pushing by the chat GPT, and we are seeing it everywhere. And since years the US is like the leader of the technology. We are observing it all of the time right now when we are talking about the manufacturing, when we are talking from the perspective of the robots, but also to creating the trends when we are talking about how to properly manage materials, how to properly manage warehouses, and so on. So yeah, it was like a crazy year from the perspective of the technology, because AI and humanoid robots also, it was like a very, very big topic since the last year. They just are here right now, and we have to get to used to that, and we have to learn how to use it properly. Yeah. So,
and I think that you're right about the influence of the government in the US right now, because you're right that it's maybe the first time in history when business giant like Elon Musk is so closely connected with the government, and clearly his focus on technology will be clear. What else do you find important about 2024?
Although the competition between, because we have an US in the one side, but what's going on in the Europe or in the China right now, we are observing a hell amount of information that's coming from the China when we are talking about the artificial intelligence, about the robots. Yes, so there is no week that we are not hearing about new humanoid robot that's coming from the China. And this is also crazy right now. The automotive industry, for example, it's also the next front of the battle between the US and between the China. Yes, so we are seeing that this China influence is coming also to Europe. We are observing the automotive slowdown. They are transforming the production from the conventional gas cars to the electric vehicles, and that's like crazy stuff. Yeah, so we see that the Chinese companies are everywhere right now. So we have artificial intelligence, humanoid robots, and the China influence in all of the manufacturing aspects. Here in the Europe, it's especially visible that more and more China companies are coming to us, and the competition in the market from the perspective of the factory automation devices is bigger than ever. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I was going to mention the automotive industry because I think looking at 2024, it was very clear that this very important segment is changing as well. And clearly the EV revolution is now reshaping it very much. So you are absolutely right that the factor of Chinese manufacturing is affecting this market segment very, very much. Yes, I think that we can expect more and more competition in terms of high technologies these days.
Yeah, and that's true, because right now the biggest benefits of the new technology are the high technologies. Yeah? So we are talking about the semiconductors, we are talking about the electronic industry, but also the automotive one. Yeah, so all of the hearings from the news from the robotic sides are coming from the automotive market, yeah? Because this is the most valuable or the best place where we can train the humanoid robots. Yeah, so that's first sign. And as you said also, that the high tech is the biggest beneficent, because there is a lot of manual work that we can transform in this very traditional way. Right now we are talking about upgrading the software. We are not talking about upgrading the hardware. Yeah, for example, let's talk about the Tesla cars. Right now, when we are taking something which is in the high tech, in the end of the high tech technology, like Tesla cars, there is no hardware changes that have been visible in the last year. They are not claiming that, okay, they have the best engines or the best gearboxes. No, they are still going and upgrading the software, and that is the point. This is the same that the high-tech companies and in different industries are going to be visible in. Yeah, like they are gonna upgrade the software, they are gonna upgrade how they proceed the data, how they manage it, and this is the difference that we can make right now.
I think you're right, and this Tesla example is a good exemplification of how the value shifts from hardware to software, or more general to digitalization. So I think that, yes, this should be also part of our later conversation. But okay, so 2024, to sum it up a little bit, clearly a huge influence of the US election, development of different high-tech technologies, but of course the most important being the artificial intelligence, huge competition in that market, even with the high-tech market, and finally the shift in value from hardware solutions. So I think that's a nice scene that we have right now. We can only expect that 2025 will be, let's say, continuing those trends. I cannot see any huge revolution that would stop, for example, the development of AI. And let's talk about it. So let's take AI as something to maybe go into details. I think what the majority of, let's say, technology people have seen as most important development was the large language models that were suddenly appeared on the radar of everyone, and they are revolutionizing how we, for example, do the office work. So what's your take on the large language models?
I'm going to talk from the perspective of the manufacturing and industry, because that's my goal, and that's my place where I'm feeling comfortable. So we have different things here, because when we are talking about large language models, when in the office job, we are communicating normally to it. Yeah, so I would like to write an email, so I'm gonna talk to the model that I would like to write an email. But it's different when we are talking about the machines and when we are talking about the robot for itself or for the industry, because machines are not talking our language. Of course, we are doing everything to find this place that we could communicate with the machine in this way, but there's a lot of limitations right now. And what we can do and what these large language models do to our manufacturing is that we have like direct tools to make like a direct stuff. Yeah, so we are taking the models, we are putting it to the machine, and this model is translating the language of the machine to the language of we know. I mean, in the perspective of data, for example, but they also could tell to the machine that, okay, right now we have switched the parameters, or we can adjust the machine or optimize the whole production. Yeah. So right now, from the perspective of the artificial intelligence in the manufacturing, we are rather in the place that we would like to build direct tools that gonna help humans to take decisions with correct data, with in-deep analysis and so on, rather than talk to machines like we are talking to each other right now.
And I think it's also, it would not be very practical, right? Because the thing about the industry is that it has to operate on a lot of information, a lot of data, and that the data has to be, measurable with like proper numbers, right? You want to know your size of the production, you want to know the condition of your equipment, and obviously you will be using numbers for that. So I think, of course, large language models, they have their place in that spectrum. But I guess it is, as I said, not the most practical approach. So I could imagine that the way how you would actually implement AI in the industrial setting is to make sense of the data that you have, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's totally correct. Yes, and what I also concerning is like, what we would like to have to talk to machine to do it. Yes, right now the machine is doing what we are talking to them, but in a very special way. In the factory, we have amount of data that is totally incredible for us. Yeah? We've got sensors everywhere. Even the single robot is like the data harvester. We have a in a traditional artificial articulated robot, we have a 6-axis. So we have a 6 encoders, and each encoder is producing amount of data that is totally not able to be analyzed by like normally in the Excel file. Yes, so that's why we would like to put an AI to give us information, for example, about the predictive maintenance. This is a big road and big direction for the artificial intelligence in the manufacturing and in the industry, that we are trying to prevent machines to be broken. Yeah, because there is nothing more which is more costful than a breakdown of the machine. Yeah, so we have fees, we have charges. The production is stopped. So this is what we would like to avoid. And artificial intelligence is bringing us from the one place to a totally different way, to a totally different one in a second. Yes, because we've got, for example, tools like EcoAdviser in Mitsubishi Electric. Yeah, so this is like a plug and play a software that is giving you an information, analyzed information about where you are losing your energy, where you have a waste of energy. Yes, and AI right now is not taking the decision for you, because this is also very important thing to mention. AI right now is not taking decision for you. You as a human, the human being is responsible for take the final decision, but you have a very in-depth analysis and results and very direct message that, hey, right here you are losing the money, you are losing the energy, so do something with that. And this is the goal, not to make this data analysis easier.
And I think the reason why that type of tools are so powerful is that they are not generic. Because I think that the parallel with large language models is actually valid in here. So when you are using generic ChatGPT, you are also getting generic answers.
Yeah, that's true.
So in reality of manufacturing, this context is also very important. That's why when you have tools that are targeting specific types of applications, you could say that those tools understand the task, understand the assignment, and this way they are giving you better suggestions, let's say. So another example that actually I like very much is MaiLab. So MaiLab is a analytics tool, but it's the one that sits on the edge of the factory, right? So again, if you compare it to the cloud, it's not as generic as the cloud because, well, first of all, it sits on the factory floor, so it knows what happens, in quotes, right? It knows what happens with machines, with parts of those machines. It can also communicate with operators, right? So it can also, this is another important tool, which is the knowledge transfer. It can learn from operators, but only because it understands the context in which operators take decisions. So yes, I think that this is, from the industrial perspective, it's very important. I think AI, really game changer, not only in, let's say, vast office type of applications, but also in industry.
Yeah, but not generic, like a very specific, used in a specific way to give you a direct message what to do, because we would not like to know that something is happened somewhere, like we have answers from the large language models, but we would like to have the information that's going to be direct, short, and condensated, and give us the most and the better feedback than we can get from this artificial intelligence.
I think we can agree that artificial intelligence will stay with us in the industry, and we can expect more and more applications where such tools will be implemented.
For sure, the future is painted in a very colorful way when we are talking about the artificial intelligence, and we could just imagine what else we can do. Let's think about predictive maintenance, for example. What we can get from the machine in the aspect of prediction maintenance, from the artificial intelligence, from the AI way. So right now, we are expecting that something gonna happen with the machine when we are talking about the maintenance. So normally we are doing it just before we would like to happen it, or whenever it occurs. So we would like to avoid this thing by doing a preventive maintenance. But from cost effectiveness point of view, it's not the best way, because sometimes you do not have to make it and you are just losing the money because the machine is gonna to work for next 6, say 7 or 8 months without making a maintenance. Yeah? So you're just throwing out of the bag of money directly to the trash. Maybe not directly, but you know what I mean. And with the artificial intelligence, we are gonna get a direct information when, what's gonna happen, and how can we countermeasure it, and how can we counteract with this stuff. So we're gonna have like a very cost-effective solution to prevent the machine cracking, the breakouts. And that's just the beginning. It happened right now. Yeah, so we have implemented it in the Mitsubishi electric robots, for example. We have a Melfa Smart Plus card, which is like a plug-and-play solution. We are just plugging the card inside, and we have, bam, we've got an artificial intelligence on board. And this is just the beginning. So, and those systems gonna be better and better in the time. So this is like an iteration. So I mean, I think that in a few years, in a, let's say, decade, we're gonna have a AI on that level that we are not gonna make any other maintenance than just predictive one. Yes.
And I think you're right, because it's actually a perfect example of how AI is changing the industry, because all it does actually is to understand the patterns. And if you see the pattern that the machine is going in the wrong direction, let's say, so you are seeing that the parameters are not normal anymore, it just gives you the information. So I think it's a perfect example of how those tools will naturally replace, let's say, this kind of manual or human-based decision-making about the assets. Another topic I think that would appear naturally is sustainability. You mentioned it already a little bit, because you mentioned the EcoAdviser, and which essentially is AI suggesting improvements in terms of energy use, energy saving. So the one thing I read more and more often these days about sustainability is that it is a part of new business model. So it's like in the past, it was something that was kind of necessary to handle, to somehow manage the points about sustainability. Today, it is becoming a part of the actual business model of every company. So what is your take on that?
It's a buzzword. Use sustainability. Everybody talks about that, but exactly nobody knows what to do with this. Yeah. So as you said, it's a core right now, and there is more awareness of what sustainability is. But the fact is that when you are going into automate your company or put the robot inside, you're actually in the sustainability trend. Why? Because the sustainability is not only energy efficiency. Well, robots are energy efficiency, period. That's a fact. Yeah. We can measure that. We can do with this energy a lot of stuff. But energy is not everything, because when we're gonna put more of the electric stuff inside, which needs a power, we're gonna pay the higher bills. But the second and this hidden part is that when you're going to put the automates inside or robots, you're reaching the unhuman precision and unhuman repeatability. Yeah, so this is the things, those two features that making your production zero waste or near to zero waste. And this is the big game changer in the aspect of sustainability, because okay, we can make everything with the energy, we can be aware of recycling and so on, but when we are not manage our waste, we are losing a amount of money that is incredibly big. So putting the robot or automates that making the same stuff in the same time, all of the time, in the same way, is like an extremely big game changer. And even if you're not aware of that sustainability and you would like still develop and grow your company, and you're going into the automation, you're doing that. Yeah. So good job for you.
Yeah, and I think that there is another aspect that we didn't touch on, which is actually the labor shortage. So I wonder how we can make actual sustainable society without, the workforce to handle that. That's why I think, and that I think this is often forgotten, that in order to create a sustainable society, you need to find a way to manage the fact that there is not that many people to work on your, let's say, processes anymore, right? So I think that another great example of how automation is affecting that is the trend with cobots, right? So the fact that you might not have enough, let's say, humans to, let's say, handle important tasks. Why not to equip humans with cobots, that those cobots will be then responsible for tasks that are maybe not that pleasant, right? So what is your opinion about the in general about the labor shortage in the current industrial settings?
So after right now it's actually 8 years of experience in working with the robots, I found only one company that was directly told me that we would like to hire the robots because we would like to make our stuff, we would like to fire our staff. Yes, and hundreds other companies just told me that they are implementing the robots to help people take other tasks because right now they have a labor shortage. Yeah, and in this way, when we are talking about the cobots, I'm not a big fan of cobots, but they are part of the robot side. So let's talk about the robots, because but the cobots made a huge statement in the industry. Yeah, because right now we show that the robot could help and could work hand to hand with a human being right now, and we rather look on them like a partners, not like enemies. Yeah, so this is the way. Right now we have safety systems that we can implement to industrial robots, and they're gonna do exactly the same what the cobots do. and with the efficiency of the industrial robot. Yeah, so we can combine these two solutions, and I'm a big fan of this approach to implement the code, the robots, or implement the technology to let people do the tasks for people, to use their potential to be more creative in the planning, in the managing the stuff. And this is the way, yeah, to unveil human potential.
There is a lot of study that says that people in factories become much more satisfied with their work once those difficult and troublesome tasks are handled by automation. So it is definitely a trend. And yes, I think that there is no other solution to labor shortage than automation, but clever automation, the one that somehow augments what people can do with their time at the factory. So yes, we touch on a couple of factors that are affecting sustainability, but maybe let's go into more details about the influence of AI, because as we discussed, this is going to be a major game changer in the industry. How then you see AI influencing the sustainability trend?
AI in a manufacturing is direct. And this is, for example, like EcoAdviser. EcoAdviser helped us and give us direct information about our energy management. And this energy management is, for example, the material monitoring. Yeah, so we are making a monitor. When we are implementing the AI, we do not have to make it manually, because right now in the plenty of factories it looks like that there's a guy who is walking from the machine to the machine with a cardboard, and he's making some notes or where he have to put the new material or where there's lack of this material. Right now we are just avoiding this. Yeah, so we are not wasting time. There's no idle time on the machines. Yeah, so machines are still producing, and we can make it seamless. Yeah, the seamless is a good word here. That we're gonna make a production very seamless. Yeah, so we are avoiding this human mistake, and we are producing constantly, and we are not producing the waste of energy, of the materials. So this is like decision is still taken by the human. Yeah, but when we are gonna get to this decision, we're gonna get like a direct information. Yeah, so all of this work which normally had to be handled manually right now is done by the AI.
Yeah, and it does support this zero waste claim, right? So you don't want to waste resources, but you also don't want to waste the time of the machine that it could use productively. I think that one example that sometimes is missed when we discuss AI in sustainability is the fact that we can create these advanced knowledge transfer systems using AI. What it means is that, again, we are experiencing labor shortage. We are experiencing people leaving their jobs for retirement and so on. And they are taking huge amounts of knowledge with them, right? And this knowledge is not that much transferred. The AI tools nowadays, they can also learn from this implicit knowledge of operators. They can, understand their decision patterns and make a rule out of those decision patterns, leaving this knowledge inside of the organization. So again, a huge part of sustainability.
Yeah, that's a very, very big part of this sustainability. And you're right that we constantly miss this part of knowledge sharing and this part of this buzzing word, the sustainability. Yeah, so
because sustainability is something much bigger than just energy saving. It's a holistic concept that has to tackle many challenges that companies have. Another big story in 2024, I guess, was humanoids. I've seen humanoid robots everywhere where I looked at. Elon Musk was also mentioned a couple of times during our conversation, but another big thing he did was this big event where he introduced his
it was a
Optimus.
Wii robot, yeah.
the We Robot event. So, and again, this created a lot of noise in media. So, what's your take on
humanoid
humanoids?
robots? Well, so I'm a big enthusiast and about the humanoid robots, and I'm looking for more and more. So I'm checking the news daily, and that's quite easy right now because the news about the humanoids are just jumping on you, like popping up everywhere. You have a feeling that you're gonna open the fridge and pooh, humanoid robot gonna be inside. Yeah, but that's good. That's good from the perspective of the development of new stuff. Because with the technology of humanoid robot, we have a plenty of technology that we can implement to the industry, like leaders, like artificial intelligence, like all of the algorithms that are making the decision making for the walking, so for the path generation. There's totally amount of technology that is totally incredible, and right now we have investing everywhere. Yeah, so the whole world is investing in this technology, and that's good. Recently, I've read a report about from the ARC company, and they told that with today efficiency of the humanoid robots, they should be just 5% more efficient than a normal human worker to exchange it, like one by one to one, and that's quite a futuristic vision for me, because right now I see that there is a plenty of factories that's still facing the problem and the social barrier to implement automation. And right now we are talking about implementing the humanoid robots. But for sure, when we're gonna compare one to each other, I mean, standard industrial solutions and the humanoid robots, we are not talking about enemies. The one gonna live with another one. Yes, so we can take the benefits from each side and put it to make a very sustainable factory and just to make a grow.
The reason, though, maybe we can elaborate on the reasons, because my understanding is that humanoids, for sure, they could have some tasks in factories. There are some limitations to the current approach to logistics, to some of the assembly. But then again, a lot of industrial processes fit into industrial robotics scope, right?
And that's normal, because when you have a wrench, it's much easier to tighten the nuts, yeah, than with your bare hand. But your bare hand can feed you, can tighten the nut, can do a lot of different stuff. And this is the biggest advantage of humanoid robots, the generalization. So we are not strict stopped with a stuff that industrial robots can do. Of course, it's changing, yes, and we can implement industrial robots in our normal daily applications right now, but still, it's gonna be more like a wrench, that it's gonna do stuff much better and much faster, but we cannot make up such amount of actions that humanoids can do. Humanoids, firstly, they're gonna come to the automotive industry, because we said that automotive is on the forefront of this battle. And also, I think that the workshop in the automotive factories are just built for the humanoid robots. Yeah, so normally there's a large of places that's rather flat. There is not plenty of stairs and so on. And it's gonna be a good battlefield for them to be tested. Yes. After that, as the generalization trend gonna be bigger and bigger, they're gonna take another actions. And for now, the visions are that they're gonna take a place in our homes, doing like normal stuff, daily chores. They're gonna take your trash and put it to the bin. They're gonna cook your scrambled eggs and so on. And the industrial robot still gonna be industrial robots. So I think that those two things, two ideas, gonna live together. Yes, so there is no like a big deal. We're gonna have to have a humanoid robots, because we have a labor shortage. Yes, and it's gonna
However, the one maybe misconception that we could clarify about humanoids is, let's say, their influence on the trend of autonomous manufacturing.
Yeah.
Because my understanding is that the autonomous manufacturing. So making production much more flexible, much more independent of the position of the place that the machines are, and so on, is not entirely dependent on humanoids, right? I mean, you can realize autonomous manufacturing principles with industrial robots, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the biggest beneficent of these humanoid robots gonna be the industries that right now have a lot of manual work. Like, for example, the textile industry. About 30% of the production is still done by people over there. And they also suffer for the labor shortage. Yes, so the industries like automotive and the high-tech industries where only a 3% of the work is done by manual workers. Like, for example, tobacco in industry. Yeah, so this is highly automated one. So they're not gonna benefit as much as the industries that the manual labor is so on so big level. So we have varied these things. Yeah, so yeah, that's the way I see that. That different industry gonna have a different benefits, and of course we still can go with the industrial machines, but some of the tasks cannot be done by the machine, and so I'm still think that they're gonna be
Of synergy. No?
yeah, synergy, co-living, coexistence. Yeah, so it's gonna be like that.
I'm glad we touched upon the robotics in this podcast. I know that this is your sphere of most interest.
Yeah.
But I wanted to maybe touch on the topic that we briefly started talking about, which is this value shift from hardware to software. You used the example of Tesla cars, where the more and more interesting things and things that customer will benefit from happens in the digital space, not in the car itself, because I think that the car itself is already comfortable enough for each person to drive in. So maybe let's talk about how does it look like in industry, because you mentioned that there are many industries, many applications that are highly automated. So we are already in this situation where the hardware is already state of the art.
Yes.
And I assume the machines are performing with the highest precision, with the highest speeds, and so on. So are we reaching this situation as with the comfort of the car in the industry?
Yeah, exactly. You can observe it almost everywhere when we are looking overall for the production line or then on each machine separately, and then going down to the exactly particular device like robot, servo, and so on. There is no mechanically a big difference right now. No, let's make it like a fact right here for us for now. And what's make a difference is our approach to the data, because there is, when we are talking about the AI, about the humanoid robots, about the predictive maintenance, there is nothing of this stuff when we are not taking the data. Yeah, because everything is just zero and ones. It's like a bytes over there. And this is the difference. This is the difference. How can we approach to the data? How can we approach to the access to the data, and how can we approach to the analysis of them, and what are we doing with them? How deep, how correctly it's gonna be, and this is the difference, because we have the data. Okay,
everyone has the data, right?
Everyone
you have it in the factory, but then what will you do with it? That's the
question. Yeah, you can just have it or do not have it, because I've got an example of the company that it was a few years ago. I was driving there and I was listening the ads in the radio from them, and I was like, oh god damn it, so what's gonna happen inside? Because there's a company that has ads in the radio, so everything's inside gonna be automated. And the issue was that they claim that their machine is not producing as many stuff as it was in the specification. So I went to the factory, I saw this production line, and I was like, okay, so give me the data. And they told me, well, but what data would you like to have? And I'm, from the production, how long the robot stops, what's the cost of the energy, what is the idle time, how many hours does the machine produce? And they said, no, we do not have such kind of a data right now. we have only the number of the bottles per hour. And I'm like, guys, so you have a kitchen on fire and you're just giving me the numbers of hamburgers you sold. Yeah, so this is not the clue. And the meaning of the problem was quite easy because they just do not put the bottles to the juice to the juicer. Yeah, so they cannot pour the juice to the bottle. So when we finally found where the problem lays, that they just do not bring the juice to the machine, they just sitting in the forklifts with the transport, but they never came to the machine at the time. They have never more the problem with the data. Yes, so this is why we have to collect the correct data, analyze them, and go on. And this is the clue that okay, data is the one thing. Everyone has data, but we have a tools. We have to have a tools that gonna bring us a direct value of that. And this is the part of the AI. In the idea of the Industry 4.0, when we were talking about the data, it was like a final stage. Yeah, that we're gonna bring our factories from this real world to the digital world. And the fact is that right now, when we are staying in front of some kind of a revolution, entering the digital world is just the beginning. And we still have to improve and transform our company because we see that the data is just the beginner. Yeah. So, and this is the value that can vary us from the competition and bring us to another different level and make our companies profitable. And you're just growing with the data.
But this is exactly the point about this value shift and how the competitive advantage is created now. Because as we discuss, the fact that your production runs smoothly, the fact that you are able to collect the data, which you now can quite easily, this is the beginning, because now the competition happens in the cloud, the edge level.
Yeah, in the software. Yeah.
It happens in the software packages that are helping you make sense of that data.
Yeah.
So I think that the companies who are, let's say, lagging behind on that front might have quite important challenge to tackle, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Or not a challenge. They're gonna have a massive problem. Yeah, when they're gonna lack and when they are not gonna transform into Industry 4.0 or the company 4.0, it's gonna be like extremely hard to get back to the position that they're gonna compete with the others. Yeah, so this is the truth. There is no like a challenge. It's gonna be a massive problem when they are not gonna bring the value right now and right here.
Good. So I think this is enough to talk about factories, but there is another aspect that probably will define this year and next ones. And that's related to automation taking more and more over from traditional, let's say, manual industries. So what we could say already is that robots have left factories. And we are seeing industrial robots in a completely different setup, like shopping mall or some restaurants and so on. So what do you make of it? So why does it happen?
There's a few factors. Firstly, the people that work in the factories get used to robots. Because I remember the times when I started my service engineer career, 6 years ago, almost, when I was traveling to the different factories, people were extremely afraid of robots on the production line. Yeah, so it was something unique, something rare, and the social barrier was like on a totally different level than now. And this is the one factor. The second thing is that some time ago, let's say the 6 years, it's a good perspective of time, the engineering was like a magic bubbles. Yes, and we've been talking about when you would like to program the robot, you have to be a master in the robotics. Yes, so we have to learn the languages.
As someone who was programming robots, I can confirm.
Yeah, like you've been visible like a magician, like a wizard over there. Yeah. And right now we have tools, we have wizards. Artificial intelligence is also making a big step in front of that. This level of enter the programming the robot is like, I've got a wizard. I would like the robot makes from point A to point B. period. And that's all we have to implement to the robots. Of course, those systems are quite costly right now, but it happened. So the second factor is that. And the third factor is that the robots cost less than they were. And this is also the way that you can just put a piece of automation and make, for example, like a robo coffee maker, robo barista that bring you coffee from the express. There's a plenty of applications that robots are doing, like a pizza or the coffee or the ice creams. You've got automated kitchens. There's some startup that would like to implement in China. They would like to make like a box, let's say box, with the robot inside, and it's gonna be full kitchen. You can just choose the meal you would like to have, order it, and you're gonna have it directly from the robot. Yes, it's gonna be like a drive-through with the robots inside. This is, I think, the three factors that make it robots
And
happen
if
in
we
our
would have
life.
to summarize it as a trend, I would say this is democratization of technology, right?
For sure, for sure.
So, and this is part of something bigger as well. So, because the technology is becoming cheaper,
Yes.
you can make much more of it, right?
Yeah.
And you can use it in many different implementations. So, do you expect that there will be more and more robots out of factories?
Different robots, industrial also, but yeah, we have to use to get to live with the robots, among the robots, and treat them like a friends, or maybe not a friend, but a partners. That is because it's still gonna be a machine. Yeah? So I'm also thinking that a bit dose of professional skepticism is always a good thing. Yeah. So.
However, if you combine the modern robotics technology with all of those magical things that the AI can do now, and if you add the visual programming that basically makes it possible for everyone to program the robot, we are entering very interesting times.
For sure, and the future is unclear right now, yes, because nobody knows how it's gonna change in 1 year. Last year we do not have a humanoid robots, and nowadays they are coming every week. Yes, so for sure we are living in extremely good times and in extremely fun times for us. So it's better for you to not have a lack with a technology right now. Just get used to that.
Okay, so let's use this as a summary of our conversation. So those are in fact great times for technology, and the technology democratization can do many things for us. So let's see what happens in future.
Yeah, let's see.
Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you,
Jacek.
Piotrek.